on with our previous discussion about schools burning down. On my previous video, I spoke clearly about learners, the Gen Alpha and the Gen Z who are still at school, being one of the primary reasons we have fire at school. And not too long after I said that, a video, CCTV footage was retrieved. I believe it was by Citizen TV, that 5 of students from Utumishi Girls had started the fire. I am not surprised. The only thing that really disappoints me is to know that someone so young, presumed to be so innocent, can think of something so evil, something so insensitive, and proceed and do it anyway. That was pretty bad. And that is the reason why I was, on my previous video, I said that we should find a way of resolving issues with the learners. I don't know why they set the school on fire. I do not understand. But one thing for sure, it's either they wanted a break to go home, or they needed something to be introduced. Or maybe it was just a student rivalry. Maybe it was just students' rivalry. They thought, you know what, let's revenge, let's come back with a comeback. Who knows? But one thing for sure is that we need measures, tighter measures. We need smoke sensors, we need fire extinguishers. We need to train these learners on survival skills, such as taking care of each other, taking care of yourself in situations such as fire, and just to see if this is something that maybe can be tackled. I've heard some people say that boarding school should be done away with. Well, pretty good idea. But I also believe boarding schools have been able to produce some of the sharpest learners, some of the sharpest students, some of the sharpest graduates. Okay. Because boarding schools have been able to create that environment of total focus, where students don't have to buy time traveling from school or commuting from school to home every other day. And home can have so much distractions. In the times we're living in, there are so many devices at home. They have televisions, they have mobile phones, and the moment they get home, that is what they're going to do. For me, I believe boarding schools is a really good setup for us to produce 100% focused learners. Yes, I believe that boarding school is a very good environment, especially for learners who do not have that very conducive environments back at home. I am a product of boarding school, and there's no point I'm regretting. And I feel like if it is not for boarding school, I wouldn't be able to produce such a good grade out of myself. I know life is not a matter of good grades, but also out of boarding school, I was able to learn time management skill. I was able to learn how to survive away from my family, which is very important. In life, at some point, you need to be away from your family just to see the world in a different angle. When you don't have your mom to call, how would you approach the world? When you don't have your daddy to protect you, are you able to take care of yourself? And I think boarding school is a good foundation for people to learn that. I'm really voting for boarding schools, and I feel like getting away with boarding school will not really, well, it will solve the issue of schools burning, but at the end of the day, we want to look at it this way. On traffic, it's usually so risky. Accidents do happen. Vehicles do malfunction. Things do happen on traffic. But do we close the roads down? Do we stop importing vehicles just because there have been previous accidents? We just find a better way. We just find a better way of curbing those problems. We just find a better way of being more cautious. And I feel like we can really get this one covered, even though not by 100%, maybe up to 60, and 60 is a lot of percentage. Still, I'm really voting for boarding schools. Boarding schools have been a good place for even orphans who don't have very welcoming homes. Whenever they are in school, as long as their fees are paid, they've been able to survive on that little school food, and until they've been able to cover education. Boarding school is one good environment if it's a good environment to create people with life skills. And I feel like all the government needs to do is to come up with ways where better security measures and safety measures can be put in place, like fire extinguishers, smoke sensors, supervisors, to just make sure all learners, when it's bedtime, everyone is in bed. When it's not bedtime, everyone is in class. I think, because now if no one is there to supervise, I saw that video and I was like, why are you guys walking around? Why are you guys walking around? You should be sleeping. It's probably 10 a.m., 11 p.m. in the midnight. Why are you not sleeping? You should be waking up at 5 a.m. in the morning. Why are you up? Why are you not using that time to sleep? Because no one is there to observe them. No one is there to like put them in shape. We still need someone to make sure that all the learners are put in shape. They do the right thing, because human beings, when no one is monitoring you, when no one is there to supervise you, you will definitely do what you want. And this generation, this alpha generation, Gen Z, they are no go zone. They are so smart. They are so mischievous. If you play around, they will play double. But that was bad. That was crazy. That was mean. That was evil. They are probably 13, 14, 15, 16 years old, 17 years old. In my old age, I wouldn't do that. I wouldn't set human beings on fire. Oh my, that was bad. That was bad. And my heart still stands with that family. My heart still wanna send support and love and a word of encouragement to those families. They did not deserve to go through that. No. And I know they're still young, but they should be put in some juvenile correctional institution whatsoever. They should face consequences. Even if they were injured also, even if they got to run, they should be inside. They should be inside, and they should be punished. If they are smart enough to set a dormitory on fire, they should also be smart enough to face the consequences. No, nothing like they are too young. Nothing like if they are too young, how soon then they're so smart to start a dormitory, to put a dormitory on fire. Yes, even justice should be served. If they are among the people who passed away, then bad for the family. And if they made it to survive, then they should face the law. They should face some serious juvenile law. That was so mean. They should spend years paying for that. And they should set examples for other students. They should set example for other students who might be thinking that setting fire is a normal. It's not normal. It's not cool. It's wrong. And just like any other kid, whether they are below 18, I believe in Kenya they're juvenile law enforcers. Because if they are let go, this will happen. And now it will become a trend. Other schools will keep doing it. Because after all, nothing's gonna happen to me. I'm gonna get away with it. After all, nothing is gonna happen to me. I can literally set this school on fire and I could kill everybody. Some serious juvenile law enforcement should be done. They should be put to justice. Those families that lost their daughters should see some justice. And these fire setters, they should be facing some serious consequences. They should set example to any other student who might be thinking to set a dormitory or a school or any type of building on fire in future. Thank God that the CCTV should help. And this shouldn't even take years the way our government takes years for this murder case to be solved. This one shouldn't take years. This one should be done on instant. On instant. Because if it takes years, nothing. Because you can't tell me. I heard that there were rumors from 3 students wanting to burn down the school. Well, you can't tell me that they didn't know that might cause damages and deaths. They are taught. We were taught somewhere in Form 2 or Form 3 that carbon monoxide causes suffocation and you'd die. You can't tell me that they didn't know. They knew. They were very intentional. And that is the reason why they shouldn't be let go. Even if they're going to continue their education, they should do it somewhere in a prison. Literally, you spare these kids and more schools are gonna burn down. You're going to show the rest of them that no, it's cool to do this. You're going to show the rest of them that it's cool to do this. It's a matter of setting example. If you leave them, you set an example. If you put them in, still you set an example. This is the thing. The government should literally find a very strict, meaningful juvenile law enforcement structure to ensure that these learners get to learn their lessons the hard way. In fact, they shouldn't learn it the easy way. I'm speaking as a parent who would want my son in a boarding school. I'm speaking as someone who would want my son in a boarding school. Would I want them to go through that? Would I want them to die in a room full of monoxide because another student set it on fire? Would I want my son to set another school on fire? I know it might sound mean of me, but it is what it is. It is what it is. Let's be honest. Let us be honest. These are things taught in chemistry. These are things taught in chemistry. I remember back in high school, we used to be taught if you're cooking with jiko, with charcoal, the moment you're burning that charcoal, it releases carbon monoxide. So make sure you don't sit next to the jiko. Make sure when you sleep, don't sleep next to the jiko. That was a good example. When you burn something, carbon monoxide is released. They know it. They were literally so aware of the consequences of what they were doing. It's not like, oh, we didn't know they would. They knew. They clearly knew. And if they didn't mean for the other students to die, they would have woken them up. You know what? The dormitory is about to be on fire. Better get out. Them literally setting fire and then leaving. The other ones are sleeping. Probably they are so tired. They have been studying all day, doing some tough things all day. That is so evil. That is so evil.